Hello, this is Season 2. New stories and real voices. This is Goodfella Podcast Media. Let's get it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Goodfella Podcast Media. This is Season 2, Episode 3. This evening we have here Mr. Brian Jordan. Thank you for having us here at your lovely home, Mr. Jordan. How you doing?
Happy to be here. I'm happy that you're having me. So
Yes.
I really appreciate you all coming out.
Yeah. So please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about Brian Jordan.
Well, originally from Virginia. Graduated from Virginia Military Institute with a degree in physics and mathematics. My first job, I was a chemist for an environmental firm. I've always wanted to fly. That's been a dream of mine. Well, three things actually. I wanted to fly and be an inventor and be an astronaut. So didn't become an astronaut. So I became a naval aviator and I became an inventor as well. So I got to Pax River here in 2002.
2002. Okay.
And came here as an aircraft tester at VX1 here. And about that time, we started our own company as well, an engineering firm where we came up with innovative ideas. We take those ideas, we patent them, protect them, and send them to market. So that's me in a nutshell. And I love being here. I'm married, have 4 children. I have one in London who's a journalist and a content creator. I have a son that's in Kentucky. He's a contractor for Lowe's. I have a daughter she's a PR director for the town of Leonardtown. Wow. And my youngest son just graduated from an Ivy League school, Columbia University, in political science. So I'm very happy. Oh, and I'm going to be a grandfather here. My daughter's due in about 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
So it'll be our first grandchild.
Congratulations, man. What inspired you to run for Congress in Maryland's 5th Congressional District?
Well, it's a couple things. I'd like to think, I'll tell you, for me, it was a spiritual type thing. I've always been a spiritual guy. Okay. I've been obedient to God. Okay. And one night I was lying in bed and I heard clear as day, God said, run for Congress. Right. And, my immediate response to that is, Lord, I'm not a politician. I'm just a guy. I'm an engineer, former military guy, but I'm certainly not a politician. Right. And what I heard from him was run anyway. Right. And from then, I had to decide, how would I run? Would I run as a Democrat, a Republican, Green Party? And what came to me was run independent. Right. I firmly believe that political parties keep us divided. And so the state of the Republican Party now, we all know how that's going right now. Mm-hmm. And through the years, the Democrats, really haven't been our friends either. So I think to really work for the people, I wanted to run as an independent. So that's why I chose to do that.
That's great. As an independent candidate, what distinguishes you from other candidates affiliated with major political parties?
The biggest thing that separates me from other candidates, when you're in office, most politicians, they work the majority of the time raising money for the parties. Right. As an independent, we're not bound by a party. We don't have to follow those party lines. I do what I want to do. And what I want to do is listen to the people. Okay. So I like to think I want to listen and find out what the people want and not have to follow those party lines. And what makes me different, I want to listen. And when I'm out campaigning, every one of my cards has my phone number on it. And I tell people, call me. I want to know what's going on in the district. Right. So that's kind of a short story long, and I'm sure you'll get into other things as well.
Right, that's true. How has your experience as a veteran and former naval officer shaped your leadership style?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Okay. As a naval officer, we're always taught take care of your people above all else. And I'd like to bring that attitude toward the political party. My people being the constituents. Right. I served in the military, and I want to continue to serve. I like to think of myself as a people person, and I want to do what's best for people. I see a lot of things that need to change, and I want to be the impetus to make that change in this district.
Wow, good answer. Wow, that's great. What are the biggest challenges currently facing Southern Maryland?
Oh wow, there's so many. One of the things you got to think about, to me, education is huge. if you think about the district, it's made up of 5 counties. It's part of Prince George's County, part of Anne Arundel, all of Calvert, all of Charles, all of St. Mary's. And if you look at those counties respectively, Calvert has the number 3, as of 2026, Calvert is the number 3 school system in the state of Maryland. St. Mary's is number 6. I think Anne Arundel is 13, Charles is 21, and PG is 22 out of 23 counties, 24 including Baltimore City. That's a huge disparity. And to me, that's a huge challenge. There shouldn't be that kind of disparage between schools in one district. Right. And I understand that the counties have their own school systems and they do things differently. But I like to use the adage, you know, if me and you are neighbors and your grass is greener than mine, I want to find out what you're doing. You know, I'm like, Mr. Waverly, your grass is green. What are you doing? Right. You know, so I have to put my pride aside, and if I want my grass to be green, find out what you're doing. So I encourage the school districts to talk amongst each other. And what I'm doing also, I'm talking with teachers, I'm talking with other employees, talking with students in the district to find out how we make this better. That's one thing. I can go on and on. You know, infrastructure is another thing that's bad here in this district. You know, they're building apartments off of 301 without any regard to how they're going to widen the roads. Right. You know, so now these roads are taking on more people, you know, and one of the other things I'm thinking about as far as infrastructure is maybe we can look at, can we have the metro come further south, you know, maybe further south than Branch Avenue? How much would it cost to bring it to Waldorf? Maybe that'll, you know, relieve some of that traffic. Let's see what else is going on. Veterans benefits in this district. I meet so many veterans in the district that aren't getting benefits, and a lot of them don't know. Right. That's huge with me because they fought for this country, and I believe they should be getting benefits. Another issue that's going on, affordable housing. That's huge. I think I alluded to earlier, my daughter's expecting, her and her husband are expecting their first child, our first grandchild. You know where they live? Right here with me. They live and they both work. They have dual income, no children at the moment, but they can't afford to buy their own housing. That's crazy. I remember back in the day, you could buy a house with one income. Typically the father worked and the mom might have took care of the kids or she might have done something else, but you could buy a decent home on one income. Certainly with 2 incomes, but now in 2026 in this district, it's hard with dual incomes to buy their own homes. So how do we make housing more affordable? You know, I got some ideas, maybe give breaks to first-time homeowners, you know, especially if they're dual income. You know, work with banks with interest rates, work with local banks to make loans more affordable. So there are lots of options we can do. I'm trying to think what other issues are going on in the district.
Just take your time.
So many more, so many. Of course, environmental, that's huge as well. I'm not sure if you're aware, when you go to the beach as of lately, you see this foam on the water. Yes. That's chemicals. Yes. That's chemical runoff, and that's dangerous. Most people think that's just sea foam. It's not sea foam. So we have to be mindful of our environment as well here in this district. I read a book. As a matter of fact, I got a book. It's from I collect old books and ledgers. I love them. I got this book from the old 1920s, and it talks about how clear the Chesapeake Bay is, how it's clearer than the Caribbean. And I was reading that, and I'm like, what bay are they talking about? And it's Chesapeake. But back then, it was clear. But since that time, we've dredged, we've over-oystered, and the bay doesn't look like that anymore. So I would love a time where we could go back to that and maybe replenish the oysters. At that time, in the 1920s, the oysters filtered the bay in one day. One day, the whole bay was cleared. And now, I don't know how long it takes now. I have to talk to the waterman to find out how long it takes the oysters to clear the bay. But it's not one day. Other issues in this county or this district. Anyway, there's so much more. I can keep going on about that. So I'll let you go to the next question.
Yeah, just take your time, man. Let's see. What is your vision for Maryland's 5th Congressional District over the next 5 to 10 years? Okay.
Next 5 to 10 years. One of the big things I envision is a technology hub for this area. The mindset of this area has to change when it comes to business. I'll give you an example. I was in Silicon Valley a couple years ago, and they give money for technology. You know, so if you got a new widget you want to create, you can find investors that are willing to invest the money and not worry about losing the money, because that's what they do out there. They respect technology. They respect ideas. Out here, it's a little different. It's not bad. We respect business, but we respect businesses we understand. We understand plumbers. We understand builders. We understand restaurants. And that's not bad. But when it comes to technology, that's something we're a little iffy with. The businesses here aren't really conducive to things that are new. And so that needs to change as well.
That's true.
And typically things change out there and they trickle out east when it comes to technology. So that being said, I would like to see Southern Maryland become a technology hub. We have the smart people here. We have people like you that are doing podcasts. That's important. We have people with engineers from Pax River. We have people at Indian Head. So we have to change our mindset and how we think. And it all starts with education as well. Let's keep the kids here local. Let's send them up to college and come back here and make this area great, a technology hub. So that's where I envision in the next 5 years. Also, again, we talked about the environment. I want to see the environment cleaned up as well. That's just one of many things I see within the next 5 years.
That's great. Good answer. Let's see here where we at. Supporting veterans is one of your platform priorities. What specific improvements would you like to see?
VA benefits is the biggest thing for veterans.
Okay.
I ran into a veteran the other day. She had to make a decision whether she was going to pay her, eat or pay her rent, because she's not getting enough VA benefits. She's getting 50%. And there's enough money right now within the VA for every single veteran to get 100% disability. The way it goes is when you take that oath, there's a pot of money that goes over your head as a veteran, and that money stays there until you die. So even if you get out after, say, 5-6 years, you get out, that money remains there just in case you decide to get your benefits. So as a veteran, you have to go out and get it. They're not going to give it to you. What I encourage the VA to do is reach out to the veterans themselves. I'd like to have the VA have like a hotline, not even a hotline, but where they are reaching out to veterans. They're calling veterans directly. The veterans shouldn't have to call. I'll call, hey, Mr. Jones, we see that you retired or got out of the Army in 1975. Are you interested in VA benefits? Come down to our office. Let's talk about it. That's what they should be doing. We shouldn't be having the veterans call them, because a lot of the veterans don't know. And that's a disservice to them. I think that's dishonorable. These people served and they're not getting what they need. And a lot of the other big thing is PTSD. I forget the number, but one is too many, but there's so many veterans that commit suicide daily. That has to change. We need to let them know that there are people out there that care and they know where to get help. And I tell every veteran I meet, not even a veteran, anybody, if you are thinking about suicide or you got things going on, call me.
Yes.
I'm not a professional, but I'll certainly talk to you and I'll listen, because I know what it's like. I've been there. I know what it's like to be down and out. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to feel alone and to have no one to talk to. So each of those veterans or anybody needs someone to talk to. If you're feeling that way, reach out, contact us. We'd be happy to talk to you.
That's great. Where we at now? Affordable health care remains a concern for many families. What solutions do you support? Practical solutions do you support? I'm sorry.
That's a tough one. Affordable health care is real. And it's not tough. It's understanding, and I want to put this delicately because I don't want to offend too many people, but I'll just go ahead and say it. It's greed. These pharmaceutical companies and these medical insurance companies are all about making money. And what happened to the CEO of United Healthcare was absolutely horrible. I don't know if you remember that. It was maybe a year ago. There was I forget, his name was Mangione. He shot the CEO of United Healthcare.
Wow. Oh, yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember.
That was horrible.
It was.
That was horrible.
It was.
And unfortunately, there were a lot of people that supported that. I didn't support. I definitely don't support anyone taking anyone's life. But the way I understand it, he was at his wit's end. And a lot of these people are fed up with this healthcare, the way it's set up. A lot of times, you can't get the healthcare you need unless your situation changes. And I talked to one person who lost their mom, and they had this healthcare insurance. Then after the mom passed away, they got something in the mail saying, "Oh, we can cover your mom now. Her situation's changed." You know what the change was? She died. Wow. So now they want to cover her. That was stupid. So that needs to change. Common sense needs to prevail, and we need to prioritize people's lives over profits. And again, I think that's horrible that CEO got killed. No one deserves to die over that. Yes. But we need to start thinking, if I'm a CEO of a healthcare company and I'm making 7 figures, and we got people that are dying because they're not getting the correct medicine, that's not right.
It is.
So it needs to be something in place. And again, I don't know everything. And that's the important thing that I understand running for office. I want to be able to surround myself with people and experts that know this a little bit better than me and know how to make this happen. But I know this is wrong. So, excuse me. So that in a nutshell is how I would like to approach healthcare and making sure it's affordable for everyone. And not just for citizens, but people that are undocumented. They need health care as well. Yes. And I get it. They're not U.S. citizens. But if they're working and they're paying taxes, that means they're paying into health care too. I know so many folks that are undocumented that aren't getting the health care they need. They need it too, because a lot of those folks are doing the jobs I don't want to do. Right. Certainly you probably don't want to do.
Right.
So let's get off their backs too and start helping them as well. If we're going to call ourselves a free country and a Christian country, let's welcome those people. And I got issues. We can talk about that as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans.
Yes, absolutely.
At the end of the day. Okay, small businesses are the backbone of many local economics. What policies would help local entrepreneurs succeed?
Well, state, local, and federal grants are the biggest things that help small businesses. Small businesses, like you said, they're the backbone.
Yes.
But typically, these large companies, they can pay for lobbyists. They can pay for lobbyists to have laws go their way. If you're a small mom and pop, like you got Goodfella Media Podcast, yes. Can you afford a lobbyist to go to Washington to push for laws that you want? I don't know your financial, situation, but I assume you probably couldn't pay a lobbyist a full-time salary to go to Washington to lobby for your what you want.
Right.
So in that sense, we need support from, again, local, state, federal government grants. Yes. And I'll give you an example. There's some Maryland, local here, we have the Arts Council.
Yes.
Here in Leonardtown, Maryland. It's a local St. Mary's Arts Council. They do a great job supporting small business, especially local artists that I suggest maybe you talk to them too, maybe join the Arts Council. And they have grants. And I tell every artist that I know, hey, go talk to the Arts Council, join. And they have small business grants for artists that are not necessarily starving, but artists that are doing murals, that are doing podcasts,
yes.
And they have money available. Talk to the State Arts Council. And not just for artists, but for technology firms as well. You have Maryland TEDCO, Maryland Technology and Development Companies, they call it. And it's funded by the state. And their job is to give money to small businesses, technology businesses. So I'm passionate about small business because I'm a small business owner. And, forgive me if I get too excited. I'm passionate about everything I talk about.
You're fine. Take your time.
So if you're an artist, if you're an engineer, there should be funding for you out there. We need to do more of that. More funding for these small businesses and not necessarily for the big businesses. If you remember during COVID, you had these banks that were bailing out these big companies. Like, I'll give you an example. Nothing against Ruth's Chris, yes. But they got I forget how much money they got. So many hundreds of millions of dollars just to stay in business. Wow. Where you had small businesses. As a matter of fact, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was probably one of the things that led to Black Tie closing, right?
Yes.
Because I remember distinctly not seeing Black Tie in there anymore. And I was like, what happened to them? And someone said COVID. I'm like, you should have been on the top of the list. Hey, look, we're a small business. We need support. There should be more than just a few $1,000s here and there. If you can give Ruth Chris $13 million, you mean you can't give Black Tie $100K just to stay in business? Hey, here's $100K for a year. You don't owe this back. You don't pay it back. This is a grant just to keep you going. And they did do some of that, but in my mind, it wasn't enough to keep the small businesses around. Again, they are the backbone of the community. Yes. They're going to hire the people. Also, let's give them tax breaks. So many people, fight about, well, businesses don't pay enough taxes. Yeah, they do, because they hire people. Yes. They hire people, and the people they hire pay taxes.
Yes.
And if You want better streets, better schools. We need more taxes. So instead of raising the tax rate, let's make more businesses.
Right.
I'm a big fan of, if you have a business idea, let's have, talk to, what's the place called? SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and give them more resources to help small businesses. Yes. So that's where I would start. Again, to make a short story long.
That's great. What infrastructure or transportation improvements do you believe are most needed in the district?
Okay, a couple things there. We talked about the metro station.
Yes.
Again, I don't know how, I would have to surround myself with people smarter than me. Yeah. I don't know how much it would cost or how we would do it, but could we have Branch Avenue come further south? Could it come to Waldorf? Yeah. Is it possible to have the metro come to St. Mary's? I know tons of people here in the county that work at the Pentagon.
Yes.
That would relieve some of the traffic, going back and forth. The other thing here too is the bridge, the Thomas Johnson Bridge.
Yes.
That was built at a time where ships were to go underneath. So that's why it's so high. Okay. I don't know the cost, but it could be lowered and made 4 lanes. That would help too, because if you work in Calvert, if you work on this side and you live in Calvert, traffic is a nightmare in the morning and it's a nightmare going the other way. So widening that bridge would help. Also too, that's a double-edged sword, or kind of a good thing. Lowering that bridge would stop the rate of suicide, because that bridge has a god-awful number of suicides that happen, and it's so frequent. They put signs. If you drive across and look, there's signs on that bridge that say, hey, if you're thinking of suicide, call this number. And so that would help with that as well. I would like to think that would help. So infrastructure-wise, what else? Certainly metro stations. What we talked about, for instance, there's a park that at Baggett Park, there's an old railroad line that's a park now. I like that. But could that be turned back into a metro station to bring a metro down here? That would alleviate that park, but that's a kind of, we don't want the park to go away, but that's something we could look at.
So like a bridge, like similar to the Bay Bridge in a sense, or the 301 bridge. I think they the bridge was 4 lanes.
That's right. That's 4 lanes now. Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Versus 2 lanes. Because it's 4 lanes on the Calvert side. And when you get to the Calvert side, it opens up to 4, but it's only 2 on the St. Mary's side. So I think if the bridge was 4, going back to Calvert, traffic would be, much easier, but it'd be harder coming back this way unless they make the whole thing 4 lanes. But the bridge definitely needs to be at least 4 and lowered. I used to boat, and when you go under the bridge and look underneath, you can see that bridge is not in great shape. Right. So it's kind of scary. I don't like hanging out under that bridge.
Yeah, I believe they keep trying to do repairs instead of just going there and just building another one.
Yeah.
Well, as opposed to just building another one.
Absolutely.
Just my opinion. How can Congress better support workforce development and education opportunities?
Okay. Well, what I alluded to earlier, keeping technology here. I'll give you an example. Putting money into places like we used to have here, a place called Techport. It was at the airport. I don't know if you remember that. And Techport was ran by the University of Maryland, funded by the Navy, supported by the county. And their goal was to bring technology here to this area. And we have another one in Charles County called Velocity Center. And my thing is, the Velocity Center is in a economically challenged area of Charles County, or in Indian Head, where it is. Let's bring in local kids and have where they can come in and use 3D printers. We can teach them how to use 3D printers, teach them how to use technology. And when these kids grow up and go to college, they'll go to college knowing this technology and bring them back to the local area and bring what they learned back here versus going somewhere else. Let's keep the talent here. Again, that'll bring more jobs here. And think about if you bring, let's say, something like Google. If Google comes here and not bring their own people, hire from within the community. We call it corporate social responsibility, where they hire from within. And if you hire from within the community, you'll take care of it. You'll welcome something like that. I remember as a kid, we had, it was a General Electric plant. They made TVs. Can you believe it? We made TVs back in the day here. But they brought a lot of their own people. So we saw it as almost like they were invaders. So we would throw eggs and stuff at the building and do things like that. But it was different later, like a few years after that, they started hiring local people. My mom got a job there. My mom got a job building TVs. I remember that distinctly. And she would say, don't do anything to that building. Don't throw anything at that building. I work there. She took ownership of that place. So those are the type of things we need to do. Bringing companies in here using local talent. And if you do that, the local community will take care of it, will want to stay, will want to make it better. Those are the type of things I want to see Congress do.
Okay. What about some of the businesses that's here locally about maybe doing internships for some, maybe for like students, maybe some students are not necessarily cut out for college. Like,
that's the other thing too. Yeah. Not everybody's cut out to college.
Right.
We have at the Forest Center at Leonardtown, we have, what do you call that? Like the Tech Center.
Yes.
Tech Center.
Yes.
But also, not only having companies like Boeing and the technology companies that deal with aviation and engineering, maybe have, like my neighbor here, Ricky Lacey, he just retired, great guy. He had a company called Lacey Construction.
Lacey Construction.
Brick masonry.
Yes.
Make it affordable for him to hire interns, for kids that are doing brick masonry in school and don't want to go to college.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Lacey, hey, look, I want to be a brick mason. Can I work for you?
Yes.
And he may not have the money to hire him, but hey, the state has programs. Hey, if you hire these students, we'll pay half the salary or we'll pay a quarter of salary, whatever. Yes. We can have something like that. So it not only applies to engineering, but also blue collar work. So same thing with, heating and air.
Yes.
And so make it amenable for these folks to hire interns that want to do that type of work. Yes. And again, because we need that too. Yes. We don't want to just have engineers. Yes. Engineers are great, but we need builders, we need welders, we need mechanics, we need electricians, we need barbers,
yes.
We need podcasters, yes. We need all that. And I know I was talking to Eric over at Dee's Barbershop, and he's got a kid that comes in. I forget how often he comes in, but he's at like one of the high schools. I won't say either Leonardtown or Chopticon.
Okay.
But he comes in a couple times a week and he cuts. And I say, dude, that's great. You keep doing that. And you learn from Eric, who's been doing this for like, 200 years. And so Eric's is bringing it up the right way. Right. But what should happen, Eric should be able to get some money from the state, or maybe even local government and say, hey, look, I'm bringing a kid in once a week and he'll get money from what he cuts, but maybe I could augment that, maybe give him a little something. Yes. So, we should be able to do that as well.
Yeah, like apprenticeship programs, that's how I came along through apprenticeship program. So,
and those are going away.
Yes,
you don't see that a lot. I know where I came from in Virginia. We had the shipyard there. Yes. It was a Newport News shipyard, and that was one of the things that was huge. And they had the apprentice school, and the apprentice school was like a college. It wasn't college. It was the only college that actually paid you because you actually got paid while you went to school. But it was real engineering heavy, math and engineering, and they were teaching you to become like engineers at the shipyard, like pipe fitters and that type of thing. So, but we need it at the other levels too, the blue collar level, where welding and all that stuff. And I think the Tech Center does a great job of that.
Yes.
But we need the local companies to get involved too, like, Three Mules Welding, get those guys involved, and they can actually see bare bones what it's like on the job every day working versus the Tech Center, which is still, it's a closed environment, and you're still a learning environment, but give them some real world skills as well.
That's true.
And they don't do that stuff anymore. I remember when I was in school, we had industrial arts where we learned woodworking, metalworking, and car mechanics and all that. So
that's true. All right. Environmental protection is part of your platform. How do you balance environmental concerns with economic growth?
That's tough. That is really tough. And if you see a place like China where they grow economically, but the environmental, it's a huge disparity.
Yes.
You can't even swim in their rivers and lakes because the environment is so tough. And so I would certainly, again, it's a fine line. You have to give the EPA latitude to go in and make sure they're doing things the right way.
Right.
Because a company's bottom line is to make a profit. And if they got waste, they don't have to pay to get. If they can get rid of it, they will. They'll find a way to get rid of it. Because I don't want to pay to get rid of it.
Right.
But that's one of the downsides of doing business with chemicals. Like I told you, I don't know if you remember earlier, I worked for an environmental firm. Was the first job I had out of school. And what we would do, we would go around to companies and the government, and we would classify their waste. So if you had waste oil, waste paint, waste lead or whatever, we go through, we'd verify it and see what it was, make sure it didn't flash, what it pH'd, and we devised a way to dispose of it. And that costs money.
Right.
That cost the company money. But ultimately, it was the right thing to do because the environment is important. We got to protect the environment. You know, and I hear people talk about, oh, let's save the earth, let's save the earth. We can't save the earth. The earth, we can't destroy the earth. We can only destroy ourselves. True. The earth will keep going.
That's a fact.
And so what we're really saying, let's make the earth habitable for our children so they can enjoy what we enjoy as well.
Right.
You know, so that's, I think, the best way to do that. This is in my mind, anyway, in my opinion.
Okay, where we at? What role should community organizations, nonprofits, and faith-based groups play in solving local challenges?
Absolutely. That they, similar to like the government, they should be the big recipient of government grants. Nonprofits do huge amounts of work.
Yes.
Huge amounts of work. And the biggest difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit business is the mission. The nonprofit has a mission that's noble. The mission is to feed the hungry. We have a nonprofit. We provide prosthetics for, like I'm missing my index finger. So we provide prosthetics and prosthetics research for digital amputees. So that's the difference between a for-profit and a nonprofit. So nonprofits, for them to survive, they need funding. And you have to keep in mind too, they're a nonprofit business. They still have a bottom line. They have people to pay. They have bills to pay. So give companies bigger tax breaks for donating to nonprofits and churches. And a church is a huge nonprofit. The church is in the business of saving souls.
Yes.
That's what they're in the business of doing. And they, rightly so, need tax breaks. But the churches, like everything else, they have electricity, they got water, they got everything else they have to pay. And of course, the pastor doesn't work for free. He has to make a living too. He has to eat. Right. You know, he or she has to eat. So yeah, I meet so many people, well, churches get a huge tax break. Yeah, they should. They should. Yes. That's what they're doing. That's what they do. You know? Yeah. So that's, you know, make more grants available to them. And I'll give you an example. The Maryland State, if you look at the Maryland State website, there's a list of grants and a list of organizations that donate money to nonprofits. You know, there's the Weinberg Foundation, there's this foundation, that foundation. And I encourage nonprofits, look at those foundations. Mm-hmm. And if you have something you do that's noble, turn it into a nonprofit. Yes. Do it something that you're passionate about, that's mission-based, turn it into a nonprofit. Get the breaks you need. You know, I meet people all the time. There's a gentleman, you know, Francis works on base? Yes. Yeah, Francis, I was talking to him, and he was talking about how he helps people, he feeds people. Yeah. I said, dude, you need to start a nonprofit. Yeah. And because right now you're doing this out of your own pocket and your own goodwill. And imagine if people could give you funding to help do what you're doing. Yes. You know, that's big, and give these people huge tax breaks. Yes. So that's how I think nonprofits are needed, and we need more of them. Yes, because there's a lot of things that need to get done. There are kids that need to be fed. There's homeless out there. There's a group called Farming for Hunger off of 231. He's doing amazing things. Yes. He's working with what do you call newly rehabilitated people from the prisons that help with him. Doing some amazing things. So yeah, more nonprofits, more breaks. That's great.
All right, where we at here? How do you plan to remain accessible and accountable to constitutes if elected?
Okay, this is the big thing in my mind. All politicians should be held accountable. This is how I want to be held accountable. If elected, I want to create, I call it a Congressional Advisory Committee. It'll be made of, let's say for now, 10 people from each county within the district. These people will be white, black, Asian, Hispanic, white collar, blue collar, young, old, military, civilian, basically a cross section of the district. And what these people would do, one, hold me accountable. How am I doing? Two, what's going on in the district? When I was in Bowie yesterday, we had an event at the, what was it called? Allen Pond Park. And the things they care about up there, we don't care about down here. The things we care about down here, they don't care about in Indian Head. But I do as a congressman. I need to know, what do you care about? And how do we make what you care about, how do we get the government to care about what you care about?
Right.
And so, again, that advisory committee has two purposes: holding me accountable, and I need to listen to what's going on so I know what you want. And that way, no one's left out. Because I feel, again, that a lot of the voices in this district aren't heard. You got people down in Ridge that tell me all the time, I don't think they listen to us. They don't care about what's going on in Ridge. And I was in Bowie, they were talking about the park. Oh, this park used to have this, but now they don't have this anymore. They don't care about us. I said, I don't believe that's true, but I think a lot of the politicians are probably overwhelmed, probably working. But again, as an independent, I don't have to worry about the red tape of a party. I can just listen to the people.
Right.
I might not make friends in Congress,
right,
but the people, I can't make everybody happy, but I like to think I'm listening to the people at the very least. So that's how I would do my best to stay accountable.
I believe at the end of the day, people just want to be heard, like you said.
Absolutely.
Just being that voice, you know.
I talked to a guy yesterday at Allen Pond. He had just got out, of prison. He's like, and his question was, what can you do for me? I said, well, one, I need to educate you on your rights. Now that you're out, you need to find out what you qualify for. I think now they've changed it where you can vote now. So you need to know your rights. That's what I can do for you, as someone that's released. Okay, put you in touch with other nonprofits that hire people that just got out to get you back on your feet.
Yes.
There was a place in Baltimore, I remember, there was a guy that had a building that he had renovated, and he made it homes for people who just got out, just to give them a fresh start on life and to give them a leg up to get started. So that's what I could do for you, And also too, just to echo what President Kennedy said, also too, what can we do? Ask yourself, what can you do, for your district, for your local environment, for your state, and for your country. So look at yourself as well. Don't always look at your politicians doing something for you. What can you do to help? And that's, again, one of the reasons I ran is voting, in my mind, just wasn't enough. I want to do more than just vote. People always say, if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. Yeah, I believe that to an extent, but I want to do more. What else could I do besides vote? Well, God said, well, just run. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So, again, I kind of got off on a tangent, but I do that all the time.
You mentioned, JFK, and I mentioned this before, like, we haven't been a sovereign country since him.
Yes.
And I believe we definitely need to get back to that.
Yeah.
And like you said, it starts here in the community, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And it starts in the community, but it starts us working together.
Together, yes.
We've got to work together. It doesn't matter what our color, where we come from, we got to work together. And right now the country is probably more divided than I've seen in my 54 years of life.
Yes.
I know I've talked to some older people, so, oh no, I've seen it worse. And yeah, it's been a lot worse. But now, we should be, this is 2026, we should be singing Kumbaya together.
Yes.
This is the dream Martin Luther King talked about.
Yes.
We should be living that now.
Yes.
But you know why that's not? Why it's not? Because they don't want us to. The 1% that actually do control everything, they want to continue with the control. If you have a group of people that's actually thinking and doing and listening, they can't control that.
Yes.
But if they got you fighting, if you and him are fighting, I could pick your pockets.
That's true.
If you guys start fighting right now over whatever, I could take your camera and walk away. You'd never know until it's too late.
Right.
Man, he got our camera. We were sitting there fighting. He walked away. Now he could hawk our camera. That's what's going on. We got to start working together. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, liberal, conservative. I heard a thing yesterday when I went to church. They were talking about, how Democrats and Republicans, Republicans, believe in this and believe in that, and God loves them all.
That's true.
God loves them all. And if you believe that,
Yes.
there's really no difference. Really and honestly, they all want the same thing.
Yes.
But the things where they differ, the people with power tell you that's important. When we had a kickoff party when I ran when I started, and I think it was November, December, we had a kickoff party.
Right.
And what I did was I brought a white male, I brought a black female. This white male had a big beard, he had glasses, kind of grayish hair. The female had braids, she was black. Right. I said, look at these two people. I said, what are the differences? You know, she's black, he's white, he's probably conservative, she's probably liberal. Automatic differences. I said, let me tell you, they're the same. I said, both of them served our country. Right. Both of them trained a stupid junior officer named Brian Jordan. Both of them have kids in college. Both of them want affordable health care. Both of them want housing. Both of them want infrastructure. They all want the same thing. Right. Now, they may differ on a few things, but those things we can talk about. Where we differ, let's talk about it. Right. And stop fighting about it. You know, we can agree to disagree on some things and still be friends, right? And that's where it should be. I remember, and if I get too long, just, let me know.
That's fine. Yes.
I remember back in the 80s as a kid, when Ronald Reagan would, during the State of the Union, if he said something, everyone agreed, everybody stood up and clapped, whether you're Democrat or Republican. Then when Obama ran, and he had a State of the Union, only Democrats would clap, Republicans would sit down. And now with Trump, Republicans clap, Democrats sit with their arms folded. You know, just because you don't like the messenger doesn't mean the message is always bad. And just because you like the messenger doesn't necessarily mean the message is always good. So we have to be able to discern that and look at what really is and not the messenger itself. So
that's true. That's true. What message would you like to share with undecided voters?
Undecided voters, give democracy a chance. As an independent, we need 6,000 signatures just to get on the ballot. And so that's what we're doing. We're soliciting signatures to get on the ballot. But what that means is it gives the voters, gives you more choice. So if you're undecided, give the independents a chance. Give the other parties a chance. We got Green Party. We have Solidarity. We have, what's the other one they have here? I forget the other one they have. Maryland recognizes Democrats, Republicans, Green, and Libertarian. So maybe give them a chance. They like a couple of them aren't my cup of tea, but everybody's different. See what works for you. This two-party system is not working. It's not. So give other parties a chance. Give independents a chance. Now, I understand if you are a Democrat, it lets everybody know where you stand, pretty much. If you're a Democrat, this is where you stand. If you're a Republican, this is where you stand. If you're a Libertarian, typically this is where you stand, so forth and so on. But give other parties a chance as well. You need more choice. That's what democracy is. Let democracy ring.
That's great. Good answer. For someone meeting you for the first time, why should they trust you with their vote?
Well, why did you trust anyone else? Give someone else a chance that's different. Mm-hmm. I like to think, I'll tell you why you trust me. Look me up. Look at my background. Read up on me. Then make your decision. And if you have questions, call me. I'll tell you right now, you're more than welcome. You can put my number down. I don't care. You can put my congressional line, and I'll challenge anyone to call me and talk to me. Just talk to me 5 minutes. Again, I'm not going to make everybody happy. I'm not going to try to. I'll tell you this. As an independent, I've had lots of questions. This is the question I get most. Where do you stand? And I say, does it really matter where I stand? What matters is where you stand. Facts. And my goal as a servant of the people is to know where you stand. That's what's important, right? Right. If you go to a restaurant and the server comes to you and says, okay, Mr. Waverly, I'm gonna give you spaghetti. And you say, wait, I didn't order spaghetti. I like spaghetti,
right?
So I'm gonna give you spaghetti.
Right.
No, it's not about what I want as a server. It's what you want. Mr. Waverly, what do you want? I got fish, I got chicken, I got this. Okay, I want beef. Okay, we don't have it, but I'm gonna get you some. Right. I'll find you some. Here you go. It's about what you want. That's what a server does. So talk to me. If you're undecided and you have questions, give me a call. And I'm here to serve. Simple and plain. I'm a servant of the people. That's what God told me to do.
Great. What legacy would you hope to leave if elected to Congress?
Oh, wow. A legacy. Man, I never even thought about that. Wow. It sounds cliche-ish, but just only legacy I want to leave is, I like to think I made the world a little better when I leave. I like to think, okay, the district is better off than what it was when I started. Yes. That's really all I want. And, I don't have to have my name on buildings or anything like that or be immortalized. I don't care about that. As long as I can help somebody and the world's a better place, that's really all I want, to be perfectly honest with you. I really can't think of any other answer, for a legacy other than what I just said. So,
Okay. Well, is there anything that we did not cover that you would like to share with the audience?
wow, just again, give democracy a chance. Let the underdog give me a chance. You can go to my website, www.brianjordanforcongress.com. You can read about what I stand for and what we're about. Again, we're petitioning for signatures. Your signature is not a vote. It's not an endorsement. It just allows me to get on the ballot. So that's the only thing I would suggest. And again, contact me. If you want to help our campaign and gather signatures, we'd appreciate the help as well. So thank you so much. And also too, we're self-funding. We could also use help with funding as well. If you want to donate to our campaign, you can likewise go to our website and help. But other than that, we're self-funding. We're not getting money from PACs. I don't think I'm qualified to get anything from PACs because I'm not Democrat or Republican. So I just appreciate all of you. So just thank you for your time.
That's great. Where can voters learn more about your campaign and stay connected? I mean, I believe you covered some of your credentials, but let me see. Yeah, how can they learn more about your campaign and stay connected, though?
Well, you can go right to our website, www.brianjordanforcongress.com. We have, it's interactive, so you can go see the videos, and we're on Facebook as well, Instagram, and it's all connected. So again, and my number, I'll put my number up, and you're more than welcome to give me a call or an email.
That's great. Well, Mr. Jordan, I thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, wow. The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Good luck to you, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, what we're having today, we call it Calling All Pastors. I'd like to believe that my campaign is not only political, it's also spiritual. And I need all the spiritual protection I can. So I'm calling all pastors to give their support and their blessing to what we're trying to do, because I really believe that God is in this. God, and three things I believe: God, family, education, in that order. That is really what I stand for. So today we're having a bunch of pastors over from the district, and we're going to have some food and fellowship.
Food and fellowship. All right.